Hey, welcome to another episode of the Rob Report. I'm your host, Robert Bob TV Brown. Before we get into the segment, by the end of this video, I want you to do a few things for me. First of all, if you like the video, hit the like button. Please do. If you don't like it, hit unlike. It's okay. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Sometimes, as Jimmy Dole would say, you find yourself unsubscribed and you need to make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Hit the notification bell right next to it so you can be notified when a new video is being dropped. Whoop, there it is. And more importantly, the super chat will be on for this segment. So if you want to donate toward the efforts of Bob TV, that's freely up to you. Any amount will help toward the growth of this channel. My name is Robert Brown with the Rob Report. Let's get into it. Well, good day, good day, good day. Welcome to another episode of the Rob Report. I'm your host, Bob TV, Robert Brown. How you doing today? Yeah, it's been a long time, man. Just to let you know, I was shadow banned. Not only am I shadow banned, but I've been taken off the air for 90 days by this guy. That's right, Roland Martin. Roland Martin hit me with a strike. Roland Martin snitched, told on me about a video that was so long ago, so freaking long ago. It's a video of Jill Stein being on air on his show when he was on TV One, which was not his show. It was TV One's show. They fired his butt. But he still want to strike me. When fair use was involved, which is the law. If you use it, fair use, of course, you can't monetize yourself if you're going to do, if you're really going to push on the fair use laws heavily, you can't monetize yourself. So that's why I only lean on the support. You give, you don't give. That's up to you. I don't pressure nobody to give anything. I mean, I'm a man, I got to work. I got to make my own money. I got to do my own thing. Would I like to get paid for doing this full time? Of course, because it's something I love to do. But I put that on something bigger than me. I don't want to put that on you. I always will give you opportunity to donate to this channel, and you know the information. I was about to get another microphone. Remember I said I was going to get a microphone for $250 and I was going to pay for it? But I'm satisfied with this one. I just need to know how to work this one. I don't need another microphone. If you want to bless me with one, fine, but I don't need it. There's things that you need and there's things that you desire. And I desire that Shure MV7, but I don't need it. Long as I'm here, I'm good. I got mic, I got a couple backup mics, I got lights, and my brother blessed me with this camera. He blessed me with a Sony AX6000. Right now, this is the Logitech. But you tell me, which one is better of a quality? Because I'm still getting to know the tweaks on it, so let me show you. All right, this is the Sony AX7 mirrorless camera. Now you tell me which one is better, the Sony or Brio, the Logitech Brio. I don't know. It look like the Logitech Brio is a little clearer, but the Sony AX6000 is supposed to be the creme de la creme of cameras. Mirrorless cameras, the whole Sony AX series, period. And I'm still learning the tweaks of it. I don't have it down packed, but I'll get it to a point where it's super clear. Because right now I got the bokeh background in the back, but you don't have that on the Logitech. You see the curtains and everything in the back. So you tell me which one is best. Put it down at the bottom. Tell me which one you think I should go with for is live streaming. And then there's one that I will use for pre-recorded. So you tell me which one you like best. Again, this is the Sony Brio. The Logitech Brio. And this is the Sony A6000. Again, I'm still learning how to tweak this. So this ain't the best quality yet, but I'm working on it. Now, let me get back to me, okay? I'm glad to be back on. I'm not going to keep you up late. Sorry it took me a while to get on, but it's Royal Rumble weekend. I'm a wrestling fan. I'm a wrestling nut, so I had to watch that. Okay, it don't happen every day, so nevertheless, I'm back on, and I'm going to talk about a subject. Okay, so this guy right here, deal with him later, because if he gonna strike me on that, he really gonna strike me on the ones when I was really going after him personally, kissing and licking boots and the whole 9 yards. What really gets me. And look, you're entitled. Let me try this A6000 a little bit. You are entitled to vote for whoever you want to vote. My main thing is make sure you get something out of it. My main thing is make sure you make a demand before you cast your vote. It is your job to go to the politician and say, this is what my community needs. And if you want my vote, I'll give it to you. Every community does it. The Asian community does it. And they are not near halfway on the voting aggression as black people. Latinos do it, but they're no way on the aggression side of voting like black people. How come black people don't do it? How come black people don't do it? We let political parties play this good cop, bad cop with us. We let them use strategy and mind tricks on us. That guy's so bad, he's evil, he's horrible, he's going to kill all of us. That's why you got to vote for us. Get him out, and we're going to do great things for you. Okay, he's out. Where are the great things what have been the great things you've done for us in the past? What are great things that you plan on doing for us now? What are the things you plan on doing in the future? Folks, I am for third parties. I am for open primaries. I am for ranked choice voting. I am for all that. But more important, I believe you should apply leverage on the people who want your vote. I don't think you should just flat out say, I'm only going to lean on Democrats. Because when you do that, when you make your commitment before laying down the demands, you lose your power. You lose your leverage. Look at Bernie Sanders and the stuff that he did. He tried to get everybody to join him and supporting Joe Biden. Now Joe Biden giving them the finger. Yeah, they got him on the budget committee and thing like that. But still, he himself said, I'm going to do what Joe says. Here's Kamala Harris, the one who signed on the legislation for Medicare for all. But now she's being tested and her words are being thrown back on her about Medicare for all. And she's saying, I'm just going to support what Joe does. Are you a deviant? Or are you a sycophant? Are you a sellout? You don't have a mind of your own? You can't push your president to do something for your people or your so-called people? You what is up with this? I'm just going to fall in line. I've had somebody say you need to fall in line. Fall in line? Mother, this ain't no freaking military. That's stuff they tell you in the military. Pop tall, fall in line. That's orders, dictatorship type stuff. You have no choice. You're not your own person. You belong to us. And then I had some Democrats try to tell me that mess. I'm like, fall in line? If you fall in line, then something is wrong with you. No, what they need to do is fall in line with us. Case in point, I want to, let me get this bumbling idiot off my doggone screen. Look at that look. Lord forgive me, but he is a bumbling idiot. Nevertheless, you guys, sometimes I have to have the real talk. I have to have that real talk. Okay. Get me back on this camera. Malcolm X said it best. You're not fighting against Republican Democrats. You're fighting against conservatives and liberals. There's liberals, whether you believe it or not, on the right too. Not every right person is a conservative. But you think they are. And you tend to think a conservative politician, that conservative voters are lock, stop, and line with conservative politicians. That's not necessarily true. You assume that every Republican is a conservative when that's not true. Likewise, you assume every Democrat is a liberal when that's not true, because you got a lot of conservative Democrats. I got a little conservative in me. I'm independent, but when I was Democrat, I had a little conservative in me. And when I was a Republican, I had a little liberal in me. See, I tried both sides and realized both parties suck, as my man Tim Black would say. They claim they have your best interests at heart, but when it comes down to actually making these things happen, you can sign all the executive orders, you can talk all the talk, but when it comes to actually making things happen for you, especially black people, you don't see the tangible results. Malcolm X said the best thing you could do, and this is not just for black people, this is for white people, for Asian, for everybody. The best thing you can do to bring a consensus together, because I've listened to other commentators talking about the working class need to come together as one and put the pressure on the government, which is true. See, as a union organizer, I understand we come together as one to put the pressure on companies like Delta Airlines, on companies like Uline America, on Port Authority of New York, we come together as one. And don't you know, not every working class person is a Democrat. Not every working class person is on the left. Not every working class person is white, Asian, black, or Latino. But they come together on certain issues. So yes, you can come on somebody. You know you got bigots that works, and they're part of the working class, downright racists who can't stand your guts, don't want to have nothing to do with you. They'll work with you, but when they go home, they want to have nothing to do with you, and vice versa. Do you realize that people from the Black Panthers, different types of organizations have come together on class issues to fight against the federal government, even though they didn't like each other? I'm building a coalition, a rainbow coalition of working class people to come against the government. That's what Dr. King did. And let me tell you something, half of those people that worked in the sanitation industry in the sanitation industry or whatever, not all of them was all peace loving. Oh, we love each other. We love each other color, and we're one, and we're all colored people, and I am everyday people, and all that crap. Not everybody. No, not all of them did that. But like the activists and the Black Panther and the activists in Las Vegas, when they worked with other working class people that don't believe the same, they came together to push back on the federal government. The bottom line is there's a lot of Republican voters that want Medicare for all. Right now, Medicare for all is almost 80% of the American public want it. They demand it. They just don't know how to come together as one to make it happen. We're still leaning on our politicians when it has to happen from the ground, from the grassroots. You know, the numbers concerning reparations are going up, and we're going to keep at it until it gets to that number where everybody see that this needs to happen for American descendants to say, I can't say black people, just black people, but for American descendants of slaves first, that wealth gap got to be closed first, and how it's going to benefit the rest of the country because of our ability to invest and to buy and things like that. It has to happen in order to help this economy. You realize how many people, bigots or not, want no-cost education? So what I'm saying is this. Class issues are important. And sometimes in order to put the pressure on the federal government, you have to come as a class unit. The whole thing with the George Floyd, that was a class issue. You had some people just really wasn't fond of black people, but they was out there because they knew that wasn't right. So yes, you need to be open to collaborate, open to discuss, open to work on projects together. Over here in Virginia, you had the NFC, Boogaloo Boys, and everybody out there displaying their Second Amendment rights. And they wasn't all hanging out, drinking beers, bowling, and going to the strip club and having a good time, but they were all on a mission. They all came together to show that we're not going to let you take away that Second Amendment right. So for people to say this can't be done, it can be done. And you're not going to get people to come over to your side of thinking. I'm not going to get every white person to come over to the side of thinking of supporting reparations. I just need enough. First, I need to work on my own people. My own people have to understand why this need to happen. My own people have to understand that this is the reason why we're dying as a people financially. And my own people have to understand that there are phrases that the first phase ain't for all black people in America. It's only for American descendants of slaves. But there's a second, third phase, and fourth phase. There's the Reconstruction area, there's the Jim Crow area, there's the mass incarceration there. There's different levels that this government need to pay us back on because they personally attacked us and used us and abused us. And I'm just being nice with those words. I can go Slade, murder, pillage, genocide. Malcolm X said the only way you can show your true power, and I'm telling you, this is the only way. Y'all can come together as Democrat, Republicans. Y'all can come on the left and right. Y'all can come conservative and liberal. Y'all can come together as one and make that happen. But I tell you, the first thing that need to be done is you detach yourself away from these political parties. If black people detach themselves from the Democratic Party would be all ears. Because they fear that you might go to the Republican Party, which ain't nobody endorsing you going to no Republican Party. You need to detach yourself from parties, period. Become an independent voting bloc and force them to come your way because they need you in your power. You don't need them in their power. And the only way you can take that power back is not trying to change the Democratic Party from the inside. Not going over to the Republican Party. Candace Owens, all y'all. Is to detach yourself from political parties, period. And yeah, People's Party, great. Detach yourself from political party, period. And you threaten people with your power of your vote. We are 3, 4, 5 million strong independents, and we're telling you right now, if you don't push this policy, Democrats, we're going to support the candidate in the People's Party, or we're going to support the candidate in the Green Party, or we're going to support the candidate in the Frog Party. Do you realize that the independents and the non-voters are almost double that of the Republicans and Democrats? And if all of them can stay in that position of being independent and non-voters, and especially for those who are the millions that's in the Republican Party, million in the Democrat, if all of those people say, we're going to detach ourselves from your political party. We don't want to be affiliated with you. You're not going to take your donor letters and wipe your butt with it. You could just take it, ball it up, and stick it way up in there. We don't want to have nothing to do with you, Republicans or Democrat. We're independent. And if we don't see you guys move toward this direction, then we're not going to support you at all. See, when you start taking away your power from them, they can't depend you. See, when you're loyal, when you 100% commit yourself to somebody who haven't commit themselves to you, you're the fool. So I say don't 100% commit yourself to somebody that's not 100% committed to you. The Democratic Party is not 100% committed to people in general, and they definitely ain't 100% committed to black people, period. Now, the Republican parties, they ain't got no ounce of consent anyway. They're a bunch of political whores. They don't want no relationship with anybody black. Yeah, a few black here and there. But, they're not going to go bodyguard hard to try to get the black vote without, they don't want to do anything to earn the black vote. The Republicans don't. The Democrats act like they'll do something for black people in order to get their vote. Black people give them the vote, believing that crap, and then once they get the vote, you left looking like a doggone fool. Case in point, the story of the day, Joe Biden. Look at all those executive orders. All those executive orders coming from Joe Biden. It's a whole stack of them. Whole stack of executive orders. Joe Biden went on a rampage his first few days doing executive orders. And the reason Joe Biden could push all these executive orders is because he got exactly what he wanted from number one, black people. He acknowledged that the African American community, you're the ones that put me over, and I will not forget you. I will not forget you. Well, look like he forgot you. No, maybe he didn't. I didn't forget you. I remember you exist. I remember you on our team. I just ain't gonna do anything. Folks, when he said I won't forget you, that don't mean he gonna do something for you. He figured he did something for you. I gave you a half Asian, 25% Jamaica, 25% Scotch-Irish, because her dad is half white, half Jamaican. You could say half black and half Scotch-Irish. He's multicultural. He's mixed. He's biracial. She's multiracial. I gave you that. I gave you a 25% black person. What else do I need to do? He even told the religious leaders who broke their back. He and hollering and screaming and crying to their community to support Joe. Talk to them like trash. We've been over this stuff. Well, let's get into this because I want to talk about Joe Biden a little bit. And this is all I'm going to talk about. Next week, I have a very important topic, but I'm not even going to discuss that right now. But let's look at Biden's view on executive orders. But before that, when Joe Biden got elected, it was a breather for America. America could sigh a little bit because Orange Man was gone. The upfront, big mouth, megalomaniac, narcissist, racist, bigot with rape allegation, pathological liar, he was gone. He couldn't believe he lost to Joe Biden, but he was gone. He's out of there. He's over there in Mar-a-Lago right now. So the moment Joe Biden won his election, this is what happened in the streets. Yep, people gathered together and they began to celebrate. Oh, they begin to dance. They begin to clap and cheer. Look at them getting it on. White, black, and all. America coming together to get it on for Joe Biden. Waving the flag. Got the tambourine out there. It was a good day. Kumbaya. Come by here, my Lord, come by here. It's a great day. We can breathe again. Now we know exactly what Toni Braxton meant when she sung that song. We can breathe again. Oh, yeah, we was waiting to exhale. Now we can exhale because Trump is gone and we got Biden. He's in love with black people. Oh, it's a great day. Oh, it's a great day. Yeah, whatever. Oh, they were just celebrating in the streets, high-fiving. Look, let me tell you something. This wasn't Obama. See, when Obama won, brothers on the street was excited. Brothers was happy. We chest bumps. Look at them. What kind of dance is that? What kind of mess is that? But the world, everybody was happy. Everybody was excited. Joe Biden is our new president. Kamala Harris is our vice president. Yep, now here's New York City, the place where I live. Times Square was going off. Is that the same dude that was on top of the thing talking about we got bin Laden? I don't know. But these folks was excited. Excited to have Joe Biden get elected. And look, the whole goal was to get rid of Trump first, right? And I'm excited. Trump is gone. Don't believe, if anybody more excited, I'm more excited than you that Trump is gone. Trump shouldn't have never been president. Hillary Clinton should have never been president. Heck, the only person that really had a close chance of winning that could make America breathe was Bernie Sanders, and I had my issues with him. But at least he offered something for the people. It wasn't for black people, but it was for all people. But when it comes to my community, that's not enough. We have different needs. We have different issues. But here we got everybody to come together as one, celebrating Joe Biden's win. Celebrating. Yeah, brother, this man signed a crime bill that put your brothers, sisters, uncles in jail and kept them in prison too long. So I'm just showing you this for a reason, because you're celebrating. And it's good to celebrate that Orange Man is gone. But there's nothing really to do all this for, because even though Trump was a pathological, lying, bigot, racist with rape allegations, guess who? The man that you're dancing in the streets for is also a pathological, lying, bigot, racist with rape allegations. But y'all out there dancing. I wasn't dancing. I wasn't dancing for Trump, and I'm not dancing for Joe Biden, because I was told once a snake bites you and you survive, why are you going to pick up the same type of snake or the same snake and allow him to bite you again? This man has bitten the black community more than anybody, even Trump.
What? What the fuck?
That's right. What? Why are you guys out here dancing? Because we got a lighter version of a pathological lying, bigot, racist, with rape allegations that replaced it. A pathological lying, bigot, rapist, racist with rape allegation. Out with the old, in with the new? Out with the upfront, in with the low key, smooth talking, smile in your face, look good in the suit, surround himself around black people, bigot. Now I know y'all don't want to hear me say this, but you go look at his record and you see it's true. His history of doing great things for bigots when it came to segregation and school busing and all the drug laws and the many crime bills, not just his personal crime bill, but he said himself that his name has been attached to every crime bill since the 70s. And those crime bills specifically targeted black people. It didn't target the white upper echelon people that was in the drug game, but it targeted the black people that was in the drug game. But wait, I'm nowhere near finished this. We're just getting started. Let me fast forward this a little bit.
America will not turn a blind.
Now, Joe Biden goes in his first week, go ham on executive orders. But I remember Joe Biden making a statement about dictators. Let's listen to Joe Biden right now.
Our adversaries. The days of cozying up to dictators is over. Under President Biden, America will not turn a blind eye to Russian bounties on the heads of American soldiers.
Now, understand, folks, that whole story of Russian bounties has no basis in fact. It was all an effort to try to get us to be aggressive or adversarial toward Russia. The whole entire Russian stolen election was thought of at the Shake Shack in Brooklyn. I know exactly where it was. I was there the other day. Not at Shake Shack, but in Brooklyn where the Shake Shack is located. After a meeting with Hillary Clinton in her offices in Brooklyn on dealing with her loss. They had to blame it on somebody. It can't be our fault. There wasn't things that, it couldn't have been things that we did. We ran a perfect campaign. Yeah, right. I got to blame it on somebody. Even that wasn't rooted in the fact that Russia got into the machines and hacked the machines. That's just as crazy as Trump saying the machines was hacked. Sure, might have some Russians, doesn't mean the Russian government probably putting in Facebook ads to try to smear different politicians to make you not want to be involved with them. Look, my thing is, if what they're using to smear is based on facts, then shut up. Shut up. If it's facts, shut up. Okay, somebody that happened to be Russian told the truth about a politician. What's wrong with that? It's not up to them to tell. Why not? If I found something about Putin and I could tell a Russian about it, I'm going to spit it out. But you honestly think that those Facebook ads, which wasn't that much, made the entire millions of people turn away from Hillary Clinton? Get out of here with this stuff. But let me keep going. Joe Biden said we're not going to cozy up with dictators. One of the things I'm glad Trump did was he didn't continue to put the aggression on North Korea, so North Korea can be aggressive toward us. Anytime you apply pressure and apply aggression toward a country, the country is going to be adversarial to you. These people in all these foreign countries, they don't like us. They don't like us being occupying their country. Can you imagine some other man coming to your house and occupy your house and looking at your woman? You know, flirting with your woman, trying to get something out of your woman. Nah, you plan ways to get rid of that man. What do you think these people do? How do you think people do these terrorist attacks to us? We go in and we try to come in that country and we try to rule that country. Yeah, there's some that's glad that we're there to be liberators, so to speak, but most of them see us as tyrants, aggressors. Anyway, let me keep going. I want to keep the word dictator out here because I want you to hear something else.
Virus is going to disappear. He keeps waiting for a miracle. Well, I have news for him. No miracle is coming.
Now, look, there's no miracle coming for any kind of medication, but there have always been medication to treat you for COVID. They just won't tell you about it. They want to drive you toward a vaccine, but that's another story.
We lead the world in confirmed cases. We lead the world in deaths.
You know why? Because we're not telling people about alternative medicine to help people when they first diagnosed with COVID. We don't tell people about early treatment. We tell them to go home and just wait, and one day we're going to have a vaccine. And that's why we're leading in death. Every other country is telling people about early methods. They're telling people about homeopathic medicine that help you out, natural medicine that help you, vitamin supplements that helping you. We're the only ones that's trying to make some kind of profit of it. And make no mistake, all these vaccines from Moderna and the push to get this stuff in your arm is for profit.
Our economy is in tatters with Black, Latino, Asian American, Native American communities bearing the brunt of it.
Did he say anything about whites? This is one thing that, let me go back.
Deaths. Our economy is in tatters with Black, Latino, Asian American, Native American communities.
See, this is another thing about slick, sly white supremacy. They will never put them in the same boat with everybody else. That's why colored people or people of color is everybody but white. Every time a sickness and disease come, they always say the blacks are disproportionately the one getting affected, and the Asians is next, and the Latino next. Never the whites. Never the whites. They never include. Why? Because they're trying. This is that low key separating whites from all other people, trying to show their supremacy. And here you see it right here. Let me repeat it again. Your boy Joe Biden is doing it.
We lead the world in confirmed cases. We lead the world in deaths. Our economy is in tatters with Black, Latino, Asian American, Native American communities.
You ain't hear nothing about white up in there, but let's keep going.
Bearing the brunt of it. And after all this time, the president still does not have a plan. Well, I do. If I'm your president, on day one, we'll implement the national strategy I've been laying out since March.
This guy has been laying out a national strategy since March. This guy took Bernie Sanders' strategy and made it his own. He didn't have no strategy. Bernie Sanders gave him one in order to get support from his people. Now, here in this interview with George Stephanopoulos, he talks about the power of executive orders and what executive orders do.
So there's not going to be any delay on the tax increases.
No, well, I got to get the votes. That's why, the one thing that I have this strange notion. We are a democracy. Some of my Republican friends and some of my Democratic friends even occasionally say, well, if you can't get the votes by executive order, you're going to do something. Things you can't do by executive order unless you're a dictator. We're a democracy. We need consensus.
Got it.
Here we got Joe Biden saying his Republican friend and his Democratic friends. Joe is going to bring both parties together to do something not for good, but for not so good, for war, to get these shots in people's arm. They're going to do everything but give you what you need, give you things that's going to help lift you up. Now, Joe Biden just said, look, some things you can't do by executive order, and using the executive order, that's pretty much almost like being a dictator. Let's let him say that again.
Executive order, you're going to do something. Things you can't do by executive order unless you're a dictator.
Things you can't do by executive order unless you're a dictator. There's things you can't do by executive order unless you're a dictator. Now, that was one of the things he told the black thought leaders, the black religious leaders in that meeting when they tried to ask for something. They tried to demand something for their vote. They're pretty much saying, look, Joe, we got you in office. We didn't want to put you in office, man. So you need to recognize it was us. It was our power. Nobody else's power got you that seat. It was us. So these are some of the things that we need you to happen. We need for you to make happen. These are some of the things that you got to do. Let me tell you something. Ain't no way. After you done gave him the power, after you done gave him the seat, after you done gave him the election, after you done gave him the most powerful position of power in all of the world, you coming to him telling him what he gonna do is a laugh in his face. He's going to look at you and throw it back at you. That's why he talked to black people like a dog in that freaking meeting. That's supposed to be closed meeting. He talked to all of them like that. Al Sharpton, the head of the NAACP, different leaders, talked to them like a dog because you gave him the power. See, you should have told him that until you do these things and you put it on paper and you advocate for it, and you give us your word, you ain't getting a vote from the black community. Y'all let the doggone Negro whisperer, the black Pied Piper, James Clyburn, bully y'all into voting for that man. We know Joe. He know us. We. Fool, I don't know who you talking about. We? I don't know. I know Joe. I know Joe is a pathological lying, bigot, racist, rapist like Trump. He just looked better at doing it. He looks good doing it. Oh, he has a nice suit. He's not out loud up front. Every now and then he'll have a gaffe. He told those black leaders, if I push these things, then that pretty much saying then that will make me a dictator. I can't do everything by executive order, but yet here you go, sign all these executive orders for everybody else.
We're a democracy. We need consensus.
We're a democracy. We need a consensus. So in other words, I can't just go out there and keep pushing all these executive orders. I need y'all to come together and legislate. Well, what's the first thing he do? Push a bunch of executive orders. Now, we're in a pandemic that could have been done with a long time ago. I'm going to continue to say that whether you like it or not. It could have been done a long time ago. Treat people early. We wouldn't have been in this position. Stop telling them about this fantasy solution. There's treatment for people right now. We did that, we wouldn't be in a pandemic. But they're using this to manipulate us. He told George Stephanopoulos, using executive orders only, going overboard with executive orders and not moving the House and the Senate to work together to put a bill on my table. If I lean more toward the executive order route than the legislative route, that would make me a dictator. Okay.
Got to take a quick break. We'll be
Now, let's go back there. Let me see, can I bring that up? How does President Biden's use of executive power compare so far? It ain't been a week since this man been in office. A week. And this man has done 15 executive orders. In 24 hours, less than 24 hours, he did 15 executive orders. I get it. You're in a pandemic. This is a different time. We got to be a little aggressive. 15? Trump did 8 in 2 weeks. Obama did 9 in 2 weeks. George Bush did 2. Clinton did 3. Biden did 15 executive orders. And my question is, was an executive order to help out all people? But you know what? I'm going to go look into deeper, because remember, it's the black vote that got him in that position. Blacks came in 90%, black men and women. They don't want to give the men credit, but black men came out 90%. Black women came out like 94, 95. The bottom line, black people came out for Joe Biden in the high 90s because they were successful on selling us on the fear of Trump. Now, I'm not saying that Trump didn't need to be removed out of office. I'm saying that you shouldn't have been in fear. You should not let them continue to dangle the carrot of fear in the face of black people so they can keep power. They're going to keep doing it over and over again. Me personally, unless I got some kind of faith in you, I'm not voting for you. I got to have faith in you. I don't vote the lesser of two evil bull crap, because all that gives us is more evil. I got to have faith in you. And I don't care who you are. If you have a dog chance in hell of winning, and I got faith in you, you're going to get my faith. You're going to get my faith exercise, or my exercise of faith. Because I believe in you. I won't believe in none of this junk Joe Biden was talking about no more than I believe in this junk but Trump. Because both from a pathological line, bigot, racist, rapists with rape allegations. Now, first 24 hours, Joe Biden goes into 15 executive orders. Joe Biden just said, look, if you're going to legislate from the position of executive order, that make you pretty much a dictator. Now, am I saying Joe Biden a dictator? Not at all. But he sure acting like one lately. 15 executive orders in 24 hours? Really? 15. How many executive orders will Joe Biden sign in the first 100 days? 25 already. Let's keep going. Now, here's Joe Biden at the first signing of an executive order. I believe this is the first signing. And boy, he sure got a stack of executive orders here. Look at this. Now, I think this is the third executive order signing. Third executive order. I remember that tie. So with Joe, is that the grandpa coming out of him? All these pens on the table, he reaching for a pen in his jacket. Joe having his grandpa moment. All right, so here's Joe Biden. Joe Biden is going to talk about executive order on racial equality. Folks, let's talk about this for a second. Racial equality is not black economic justice. It's not black justice at all. Racial equality is a new term that they're using. They focus group tested this word to see if they can get majority Americans on board of using this word, even Republicans. And they're going to use this racial justice for anything. They're going to use it for sexual injustice, and they're going to use it. The LGBTQ community will be able to use it. Somebody will use it if you try to, let's say you're a Christian and you don't want to sell your cakes. You'll be able to somebody that's Satan worshipers. Well, that Satan worshiper can say, look, you violated my rights. I want that cake. They'll be able to use racial injustice, that word, for everything under the sun. But understand, black people, black injustice is not racial injustice. It's nowhere near the same. But they're going to try to lump it in there, and you cannot let them lump it in there. All right, let's listen to him.
At the moment it arrived as a nation where we face deep racial inequities in America and systemic racism that has plagued our nation for far, far too long.
Now, folks, systemic racism, racial injustice are ice cream terms because they don't like you using the word white supremacist, because that's raw steak terms. That's raw steak with the blood still on it term. It burns people like Joe Biden because he know he's one of them. It burns people like Trump because he know he's one of them. How can you say that about Joe? Boy, you better get your butt up and start looking at Joe Biden's record. Stop being lazy. But him and Barack had a bromance. Man, you better wake up and realize that one of the best tools that white supremacy use is blackface. And they'll use that to keep people under control. And when you see people dancing in the street because the other bigot, pathological lying, racist, rapists in an office, and thinking that they can breathe again and that racism is dead. We got rid of the racists. No, you ain't got rid of the racists. You didn't I got rid of white supremacists and all this white supremacist fall. No, you did not. You just voted for one. He's just a little lighter, a little low key, a little nicer, a little smoother. Incognito. You won't know it. You won't know about the laws until it's the law. You think the crime bill is just going to help keep the drugs off the street and keep the drug dealers from robbing you and people? Yeah, it's going to do that. But yeah, at the same time, it could come after you too. There was no bridle. There was no braces on the crime bill. The crime bill can affect anybody that stayed close to a neighborhood like that. Even the people that were doing right, they got hit with it. They got accused for crimes. They end up going to jail. Why? Because they used that to beef up the prison system to the point where it overran, and the rest of the people had to go to a private prison, and that's where they use plantation slave tactics to help corporations make their products and sell their products for pennies on a dollar. And this man was the prime author of it, and he do not reject it. He do not say it was wrong of me. He doubled down and say, no, they're wrong. My bill was perfect. They're wrong. I'm almost done, people. I know it's almost an hour.
I said that over the course of the past year that the blinders have been taken off the nation, the American people. What many Americans didn't see or had simply refused to see couldn't be ignored any longer. Those 8 minutes and 46 seconds that took George Floyd's life opened the eyes of millions of Americans and millions of people around all over the world.
Now, my question is, the cop who put his knee on George Floyd and the rest of the cops that stood there, do you know if there was a Democrat or Republican? See, what I'm telling you, hate group has nothing to do with political parties. It's the way you're brought up. Or certain things that happened to you that made you hate somebody. It was the way you reacted to something that happened to you. It has nothing to do with political affiliation. But these political parties want to take it and make it seem like hate has to do with political affiliation. It ain't got nothing to do with political affiliation. Hate is hate. A white supremacist is a white supremacist. Got nothing to do with political parties. If honestly you want to actually know the truth, white supremacy been won in the Democratic and Republican Party and trying to keep any other party from breaking the two-party system. They want to keep that intact. They run this good cop, bad cop when both of them are bad cops. One just pretending to be good cop to get the information out of you a nicer way versus the one that's going to slam your head on the table, beat you up, and throw you out in the middle of the street, in the middle of nowhere, for you to walk home all by yourself, battered, beat, and bruised. They say two wings on the same bird. Yeah, bad cops. You heard of lesser two evil? That's what it is. Bad cop, good cop is still bad cop, but he ain't as bad and aggressive as that guy. Look at Officer O'Hara is kind of nuts. He's crazy. You know, I'm trying to fight him off you. It'd be better if you deal with me and tell me what's going on. That's the one you really need to watch out. That person, the good cop, is the one you really need to look out for. And that's how they treat these political parties. That's how these political parties play you. Now here's Joe Biden trying to play good cop. Good racist. Trying to make you think it's a right issue when it's a right and left issue.
It was the knee on the neck of justice, and it wouldn't be forgotten.
Knee on the neck of justice. That moment he says is a knee on the neck of justice. Man, you've been having a knee on the neck of black people for all these years, and we've been telling you to take that knee off, and now you're still putting a knee on us. It wasn't just with George Floyd. It happened with Eric Garner. Trayvon Martin. I can go a list of people who went through that mess, and it ain't had nothing to do with Republican Democrats. Nothing to do. There's just as many KKKs in the Democratic Party as there are in the Republican Party. KKK donate to both Democrats and Republicans. A lot of these white supremacists are not all on the right, but they want you to think that. There's Democratic Proud Boys and there's Republican Proud Boys. There's gay Proud Boys. There's black Proud Boys. Heck, the informant himself, the informant in chief of the Proud Boys, was working with the FBI. Is an Afro-Cuban, a black Cuban. And yeah, a bunch of them do love Trump, but not all of them. But Joe Biden wants you to think this is all about those white supremacists. Those white supremacists. Don't look over here. No white supremacy here in our party.
It stirred the conscience and of tens of millions of Americans. And in my view, it marked a turning point in this country's attitude toward racial justice. When the six-year-old daughter, Gianna, who I met with when I met with the family, I leaned down to say hi to her, and she said, looked at me, she said, "Daddy changed the world." That's what Gianna said, his daughter. Daddy changed the world.
Now, that's a sweet thing to say. Well, you know me, I'm always tell you the truth. It ain't gonna stop people from being white supremacist bigots. It's not. It's good that you got a lot of white sympathizers that sympathize with our struggle, and they're with us in our struggle, and a lot of them going to start joining us in our fight for reparations and closing the wealth gap and getting true equality between Native blacks and Native whites in this country. And George Floyd did spark a movement, but what's going on right now? Where is the true change right now? That's why these executive orders tick me off. What has happened legislative-wise concerning cops who do that crap? What is Joe Biden proposing? Well, we'll see.
And I believe she was right. Not because this kind of injustice stopped, it clearly hasn't, but because the ground has shifted, because it's changed minds and mindsets, because it laid the groundwork for progress. COVID-19 has further ripped a path of destruction through every community in America, but no one has been spared but the devastation.
Here we go again. Here we go again. The singling out.
In communities of color has been nothing short of stunning. Just look at the numbers. 40% of frontline workers, nurses, first responders, grocery store workers, are Americans of color, and many are still living on the edge. 1 in 10.
This bigot, racist, continue to go with that color stuff like white people are not a color. Y'all don't see this? Y'all just gonna let this stuff slide, how they just continue to try to separate themselves from the rest of society? You wouldn't let that go with Trump. Why you letting that go with this guy? But what he's saying is true. It's not true. And what I'm saying is not true. I'm not saying that people not being affected, but I'm saying you are a color too. And your people are being affected too. And I'm sick and tired of you guys always separating yourself from the rest of the world. See, that's that slick, sly, white supremacist talk. And hopefully you're beginning to wake up and understand that's exactly what it is. Minority. Black people ain't a minority. Black people, if they wouldn't have found some way to kind of stifle our growth, we would have been a majority. But they did everything from vaccines to sending us out to war and putting us on the front line and giving us Agent Orange and all that kind of stuff where we couldn't even perform.
And Black Americans is out of work today. 1 in 11 Latino Americans is out of work today. 1 in 7 households in America, about 1 in 4 Black, 1 in 5 Latino households in America, report that they don't have enough food to eat in the United States of America.
Why do you think black people don't have enough food, Joe? Go throughout the history from the time you wouldn't give us what we deserve, our just due reward from all the free freaking labor that you got off our ancestors for hundreds of years. You reneged on finally giving us the pay that we deserve. And then when we say screw you, we just got to start from the bottom and rise up to the top. And when we did, you and your people began to take that from us. Find ways to snatch that away from us, burn our houses down, kill our families, take our properties. Have anybody did that to your people? No. Black people are the most loving, forgiving people on the face of this planet. Forgiveness has its place. But black people, you do understand when you're in a car accident, you and your family get in a car accident and your child dies, you don't just forgive the company that hit you or the person that hit you. I mean, you can forgive them. I forgive you, but you need to pay recompense. You need to pay for this. You took something of value from me. And you need to pay. It's not going to bring them back, but you still need to pay. And what I'm saying is, people, you got to put yourself in that position that you can't allow this country to continue to do this to us. That's why we're dying. That's why the wealth gap is wider than ever. Because you let these people just slick off without doing what they're supposed to do. Marianne Williamson said it best. There's a wrong that this country did, that this country will never go forth in greatness. It will never be great, period. It will never achieve greatness until they deal with that. And one of the things is true equality. You are not unequal with us. You are part of the color society. And when it comes to blacks and whites, from the foundational blacks, the American descendants of slaves, and the American descendants of white settlers or white colonists, that money need to be mirrored and matched. The wealth need to be mirrored and matched. You got that gap off our backs. And this is the reason why they shadow ban me, and this is the reason why I'm getting 200-300 subscribers dropping every day, because they blocking people from hearing this, and they don't want people to hear this. The people who hearing this, they get offended. Why are you getting offended? It's true. Nobody asking you to give it to us. This country got hundreds of trillions of dollars. They could take out $12 trillion and pay us our reparations, help us close the wealth gap, and it's none of their business what we do with the money. How in the world are you going? What judge going to award a $10 million settlement to from Walmart to this family that ran over and killed their family and want to monitor how they spend the money? That's none of your business. But here's Joe Biden, executive orders, talking about racial injustice, talking about racial equity.
Black and Latino Americans are dying of COVID-19 at rates nearly 3 times that of white Americans. And it's not white.
You hear that slick talk? Y'all gonna sit there and let them just tell you, you gonna sit there and believe that? Black people getting it bad, we white people getting it good. Oh, we're a unique breed. It don't bother us as well as it bother you. Oh yeah, no, COVID don't mess with us. No, it's them black folks, it's them Latinos. But them blacks, they really get it hard. We don't get it as bad. We can survive. Y'all sit there and believe that. When somebody start talking that stuff, I'll tell you, hush your mouth, stop lying. Prove it. Prove it. The reason most of us probably getting the worst end of it is because we don't have adequate health care. And when we press you to put it on the table, put it on your platform, you say, if you bring that adequate health care on my table, I'm going to veto it.
White Americans' fault, but just a fact. And the Americans now know it, especially younger Americans. One of the reasons I'm so optimistic about this nation is that today's generation of young Americans is the most progressive, thoughtful, inclusive generation that America has ever seen.
I thought you looked at young people as if they was idiots. I thought you had no empathy with them. I thought you had I have no empathy for young people.
And they are pulling us toward justice in so many ways, forcing us to confront the huge gap in economic inequity between those at the top and everyone else.
Those at the top and everyone else? Those at the top and everyone else? Now, look, I know there is some classes, but no. You need to focus on... I'm trying to bite my tongue. The descendants of white settlers and white colonists and the descendants of American slaves. You need to nip that in the bud before we start talking about everybody else, bruh. But he's not going to do that. He don't want to entertain nipping that in the bud. He want to nip everybody else. He want to do this all people stuff when all people didn't go through what we went through. And it's not a diss to Latinos, not a diss to Arabs and all that. It's just that you ain't been through what we've been through with this freaking country. And you wouldn't have had that. If you knew this country was doing this kind of stuff ahead of time, you wouldn't have never came to this country. Not during that time. If you knew there was a chance that you were going to be made a slave and made to bust your back, and your kids bust their back for free labor, you wouldn't have came to this country. If you knew that once you got into this country, they were going to sell you and your kids separate and you'll never see each other again, you wouldn't have never came to this country. If you knew that they was going to be making your daughter from the age of 12, 13, and 14 pump out children until they can't pump them out no more, you wouldn't have came to this country. If you knew some of these people were so deviant in their sexual minds that they would be taking advantage of your children, you wouldn't bring them to this country. Or if they was raping your wife in your face, you wouldn't have came to this freaking country. And people say, oh, you need to let it go. No, that's recompense. You need to remind them. This is the reason why Trump did that 17 whatever project. Because he didn't want you to know what he wanted to erase from history what happened before then. Y'all thought it was something that was going to help true black history come into fruition. Nobody in political position, not even Obama, was about true black history. If you knew to have a true black history, you would be appalled at this country. And you'll probably be appalled at yourself if you came from that lineage. If you find out your granddaddy Jebediah did this and did that. He took 13 slaves that tried to run off the plantation. He shot them all in the head, made them dig their own ditch, and shot them in the head while they was in the ditch and then buried them. You would be ashamed of yourself. But you want to do this racial equity for everybody. No, bro, you got to take care of this first. Now, what this got to do with executive order? This man signed all these executive orders, and none of that stuff took care of none of that stuff.
Forcing us to confront the existential crisis of climate. And yes, forcing us to confront systemic racism and white supremacy. It's just...
Now, he's using our language. People, he's trying to use the white supremacy language now and try to pin it on the right. He actually using the term white supremacy. They wasn't willing to use that term, and they still don't want to use that term. But people like Jamal Bowman, people like Cori Bush, and a lot of other black political leaders are using that language now. But my pressure on those people is make sure when you use it, you don't tag a political party to it, and you don't tag left or right to it, because this stuff it's just a statement of, it's a mindset, it's an ideology, and there's no stigma to that. It's not a right or left thing. It's not a black or white thing. I mean, it's not a red. No. Obama was talking about all that stuff for the United States. No. This is an American thing. And here we got one of the biggest ones of all time. One of the men who wrote the modern day plantation platform, the modern day system to fill up the new plantation and put people to work for almost nothing to make corporations look happy. We're going to go over this stuff in a moment. Just hang in there with me.
It's been weeks since all of America witnessed a group of thugs, insurrectionists, a political extremist, and white supremacists violently attack the capital of our democracy. And so now
again, he want to pin that on just on the right. Now, don't get me wrong. Those people that stormed in the Capitol, a majority of them was there trying to stop the certification of the election. But you had some in there that was in that group that wanted to overturn the freaking government. Then it wasn't about a certified election. It wasn't even about Trump. You had some anarchists in that group too. They don't want no president. They don't want no rule of law. And they were from all parties, both parties. I know you don't want to believe that, but it's true. But yeah, he wants to talk about this one incident that happened at the Capitol doorstep, and it's worthy of talking about. But bro, it's stuff going on every day. Heck, you got to look at your own self in the mirror and the position and the policies that you push that exacerbated this situation. And in this executive order, you did not dismantle nothing. You don't even dismantle your own crime bill, which is one of the worst bigoted policies since slave times. It's modern day slave policy.
Now's the time to act. It's time to act because that's what the faith and morality call us to do. Across nearly every faith, the same principles hold. We're all God's children. We should treat each other as we would like to be treated ourselves. And this is time to act, and this time to act is because it's what the core values of this nation call us to do. And I believe the vast majority of Americans, Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, share these values and want us to act as well.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC.
All right, Shepard, enough. Okay. All right, so what I want to do right now, and I guess pretty much almost done. All right, so here we got Joe Biden talk about dictatorship. That we're not going to have any kind of, we're not going to be playing around with dictators. Then he talked about dictators using executive orders is a dictator thing. It's not a democracy thing. It's not a freedom thing. The overuse of executive orders is not good for this country. When you go in and go extreme and do all these executive orders. Then he talks about one of the most important executive orders that lack any kind of power, and that was the racial equality executive orders. Let's go into the executive orders of Joe Biden, and I want to see where it fits in with you. And you put it down in the comment and tell me how that'll benefit you. But you got to understand, just because you write an executive order, that don't mean it's going to come into fruition. You know, Donald Trump, when he was in office, when he knew that the Republicans, Democrat was fighting when the unemployment stopped, when the unemployment, the $300 extra, the $400 to $600, when all that stopped, the supplement, Donald Trump was like, y'all need to go in there and add more money to that. Of course, he's trying to win an election, so he's going to push them. He signed an executive order for $300 to go to every individual that was still unemployed. He tried to do a further extension, but not for $600, but $300. But he asked the government to put $100 toward the $300. So he took FEMA money, $300 from FEMA for people to get for their unemployment, but he required for that FEMA money to come to you, the state, do $100. Well, the state didn't want to do the $100, so he wanted to give you $400 every week that you're unemployed on top of your unemployment. It would have benefited you. It wasn't a $600, but it would have benefited tremendously. Well, the states didn't want to do it. So that goes to show you, just because somebody do an executive order doesn't mean it's going to happen to you in your state. Now, we're going to go over some of these executive orders. Give me a moment. All right. Let's look at these executive orders of Joe Biden. All right, here's all the executive orders President Joe Biden has signed so far. January 28, executive order to strengthen the Affordable Care Act and Medicaid by directing agencies to review any policy that may hinder access to the ACA and recommend the opening of a 3-month enrollment period for uninsured Americans. Memorandum, reversing the Trump administration Mexico City policy that blocked funding to groups that include abortion services or information in their family planning program, and suggestion the reconsideration of policies that impose undue restriction on the use of federal funding for women access to complete the medical information. Let's start with Executive Order Affordable Care Act. So in other words, he brought back Obamacare. And he directs agencies to review any policy that may hinder access to ACA. So he's going to look into what Trump probably did that will block people from getting access to the ACA. Problem with this is the ACA can only go to a certain amount of people. It's still allowing insurance companies to profit off your COVID situation or cancer or whatever sickness and disease. Most people still can't afford it. You can't even afford it in the middle of crisis when you don't have a job. You're not working. You're still in the house because you don't want to catch COVID. So the Affordable Care Act is not enough, Joe. What you could have did was do an executive order for Medicare for all. That would have covered every American. Black, white, Latino, it doesn't matter. Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. Heck, you could have named it after yourself. Heck, if you really truly loved Obama, you could have named it Medicare for All, Obama 2.0. I don't give a crap what you name it. You brought back Mitt Romney Care, because that's all this is. You brought back a Republican health care plan, because that's all what this is. Obama said he would be considered a moderate Republican because of the policies that he pushed. That's all this is. You brought back a moderate Republican medical protection plan. How many of you people can afford that? How many people, you know you're still going to get penalized? So to me, that's a waste of executive order for most people who cannot afford ACA or Obamacare or Mitt Romney Care. Most people are not going to be able to handle that. He should have went full Medicare for all. Block fundings to groups that include abortion services or information in their family planning program. So I guess the Trump administration was stopping funding from going to the abortion clinics and things like that, and Planned Parenthood and things like that. A lot of the Christian right wanted that, and you know, I see why they wanted that. So Joe Biden's going to overturn that. To a lot of you who like to get busy and don't want to have no children, I guess that's good for you. You know, it is what it is. Let's go to June 27th. Biden got the votes of abortion rights advocates. Getting them the results will be harder. Biden got the votes of abortion rights advocate. No, Biden got the votes of black people. Stop trying to twist this. Stop doing the Andrew Yang thing, talking about it was Asian people who got out to vote for Joe Biden. Are you freaking kidding me? That's why this guy should not be the mayor of New York City, because he's delusional. And there's other people who've been working in this city, been working for the people of this city, trying to do whatever they can for the community of these cities that's running for this office. And because Andrew Yang got name recognition, everybody's going to overlook him. Overlook them for him. Not on my watch. Executive orders elevating climate change as a national security concern and committing to the goal of conservation goal. That's good for the survival of Americans, but right now, my people, this ain't got nothing to do with us. And I know you wanted to have something to do with us, but you talking about we need something to happen today. And your reparation won't be nothing if the planet is gone. Man, if you don't go somewhere with that stuff. I'm not saying this thing ain't important, but some things to certain people or certain classes or certain community have priorities. Our priority is not going to be the same. We still have some things that's the same, but they're not. Our priority is not going to be the same. Executive orders establishing the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. What they got to do with us, black people? So this is what I'm saying. So far, the executive orders that I went with you ain't got nothing to do with you. Remember Kamala Harris said, I'm not just going to do nothing just for black people. No. Well, look like the abortion rights advocate got something just for them. The insurance companies, the medical insurance companies that's been giving Joe Biden them all this donation money, they got something for them. Obamacare is back in town. The President Council of Advisors on Science and Technology, how do that affect the black community? How is that a mandatory thing for us? January 26. Executive orders directing the phase out of private prisons by not renewing contracts from the Department of Justice. Executive orders directing the phasing out of private prison by not renewing contract from the Department of Justice. All right, so most of the contracts with the Department of Justice are for federal. They're not for local and state. It has nothing to do with the state funding for private prisons, because the states have their own funding. The orders does not apply to other federal agencies, such as U.S. Immigration and Customs and Enforcement. So this only pretty much target federal prisons, not your local, not your state. So private prisons is still here, but you think, well, you know, Joe Biden's he signed an executive order to phase out private prison. That's going to help black people. No, don't put that. Most black people are not in prison. Stop that. That is not a black policy. Most black people are not in prison. So how that's going to benefit us? It'll benefit those black people that are in prison, but it also benefit the white people that are in prison, the Latinos in prison, the Asian. It's for people who are in prison, period, of all colors, including whites. Memorandum condemning racism and xenophobic against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in response to coronavirus pandemic, and instructing the Department of Health and Human Services to consider best practice to mitigate language and guidance that could further racism. Now, hold up. Joe Biden put it out there that this disease affects black people more than anything. Then how come we don't have an executive order condemning racism and xenophobia among the black community when it comes to this disease? Now, hold up, my Asian humanist brothers and sisters. I got to talk about my people, because Joe Biden is always putting my people up front. And it was my people that put them in the White House. Yes, your people had their part to play, but not on a level like we did. We went bodyguard hard to put Joe Biden in office. Hard. And every time Joe Biden says something out of his mouth, it's people of color, and he want to slap black people as the face of people of color or minorities. Don't want to include whites in there. And he's sitting up here saying black people are getting it bad, worse than anybody, which is not true, actually. According to the CDC, Latinos in America are getting it more than blacks. But it always sticking blackface. Blacks first. Blacks, Latinos, Asian, Native American. They always start off black. Well, where's the executive order to deal with our racism and our xenophobia? We deal with racism and xenophobia more than anybody. Can't even walk into some Asian stores without them looking at me and following me. How they up and buy? Can't. And look, my uncle is Asian. My uncle is a Korean. My uncle married an Asian. Memorandum directing agencies to mitigate racial bias in federal housing policies. Well, good look on that, because is that on the federal level, state level, local level? I want to see that, because to me, this is just word salad. Memorandum directing agencies to mitigate racial bias in federal housing policies. Federal housing policies. Memorandum recommend the government to respect tribal sovereignty. Not nothing for black people, but did something for the Native Americans, did something for the Asians, Kamala Harris people. Pacific Islanders, Kamala Harris, Tulsi Gabbard. More. Biden addressed racial bias in housing, direct DOJ to phase out use of private prison system in a new executive order. No, it's not cut as dry as you think it is. Let's go to January 25th. Executive order reversing the Trump administration policy to ban transgender people from serving in the military. Look, my position is this. A human being should be able to serve in the military. I don't care whether they trans or not. Because at the end of the day, they can die a dirty, hard death just like anybody else. And anti-10 is not going to be most of transgender in the front line of battle. It's still going to be mostly black people. Oh, they work overtime to get black people into the military. And like I said before, don't get me wrong, people. Understand this. The military is a great career. I was in the Navy. My dad was in the Air Force. Great career, great benefits, if applied right. If you didn't have these money-hungry warmongers out here trying to make money off blood and tears in the backs of our soldiers, but outside of that, it's a good, decent career to go in. We need an army to protect this country. We don't need an army to go out and just take over other people's countries and move out the way. We run this country. We're taking all the oil, that kind of bull crap. No, we don't need occupiers. Executive orders. So that has nothing to do with black people, but it has something to do with gay people. That's a policy to uplift the gay community. Executive order committing to investing in American companies and closing loopholes that allow companies to offshore production and jobs while still qualifying for domestic preferences. Got no problem with that. You know, do whatever you can to bring jobs back here so we can put our people back to work. Still ain't a policy for blacks. It's a policy that can help blacks, but it's not a black policy. Proclamation to suspend the entry of non-citizens to the U.S. who were present in certain regions in the 14-day period prior to the attempted entry, including the Schengen area, the United Kingdom, excluding overseas territories outside of Europe, the Republic of Ireland, the Federal Republic of Brazil, and the Republic of South Africa. Now, South Africa is the area where there's a lot of white people, blacks too, but most of the blacks coming from Africa are from Nigeria, are from Kenya, are from Ghana. Their names are not up here. So it has nothing to do with black people. Executive order restoring collective bargaining power for federal employees and directing the Office of Personnel Management to provide. Now, I'm a union person. We need to have better policies toward collective bargaining. We need to stop these companies from treating workers like a slave. Still got nothing to do. That's an all people policy. Don't target black people. It's not a black policy. Recommendations for achieving minimum wage to federal workers. Say what? You mean federal workers are not making minimum wage? They're not making $15? Joe, the minimum wage for federal workers should be at least $25 to $30 an hour. $15? I'm working for the federal government and the minimum wage of $15? Are you freaking kidding me? Again, another all people policy. Nothing for black in this policy. Now look, I'm not saying these things are not good, but it doesn't do what need to be done for our people. Everybody's getting something out of these executive orders, but black people. I'm waiting to see the black specific policy. I've seen the Latino specific policy. I've seen the Asian specific policy. I even seen the transgender specific policies. I even seen some specific policy for those who are trying to come into this country. So far, I haven't seen anything just for black people. Joe Biden rejoins the Paris Agreement, requires masks on federal property and SWIFT Day 1 directive. Okay, that's an executive order for all people. Nothing for black people. Meet the 7 congresswomen who are steering Biden's immigration agenda in the White House. Don't mean nothing to me. This women, you know, all women cabinet and all women this and black this and that. No, I'm talking about policies, not positions. 21st. Continue. I can go on and on. Executive orders identify supply and accelerate the production of supplies needed to respond to the coronavirus. That's all people. This need to be helping out all people. This is not a black specific agenda. Executive orders stating support for reopening schools, calling on Secretary of Education to work with elementary schools and school. Still, all people, all policies, American policies. Executive orders calling for the Occupational Safety and Health Administration to issue guidelines, workplace, all policies. Executive order requiring masks, certain modes of transportation for international travels. Executive orders encourage acceleration of production of treatment for the coronavirus and expansion of access to therapies. Executive orders establishing COVID-19 testing board to increase test supplies and bring manufacturing testing to the United States. Executive orders directing government to examine and to prevent inequities in health care and service of communities of color. Here we go. That ain't got nothing to do with black. Let me calm down. And other marginalized groups established within health and human, communities of colors. There's no such thing. Either everybody is part of the community of color, or there is no community of color. We all are color, whites included. And whites gonna act like, you need to stop letting these politicians act like they're not marginalized too. They go through stuff just like we go through. That's that still trying to make you think they're superior than you are. Executive order enhancing data collection and sharing among governmental agencies to strengthen public health infrastructure, not a black policy. Memorandum directing FEMA to cover states' costs for the National Guard to assist in pandemic response, nothing. Executive order rescind Trump's 1776 commission, a panel Trump established as a response to the New York Times 1619 project. In other words, this policy, what Trump wanted to, he came up with a policy to not discuss anything prior to 1776 concerning slave and the slave trade. He thought it was something that made our country look bad. Well, it just don't make our country look bad because it's true. In other words, he tried to get something to cover up and lie. But these Republicans thought it was something that Trump did to actually tell the truth about slavery. If you're going to tell the truth about slavery, you got to start before 1776, Doc. He was trying to cover up the horribleness of slavery. It ain't going to happen to that. New York Times had the 1619 project. Bottom line, none of them are covering true history, and we need to have something, Joe, that force these schools, whether it's in 11th grade or 12th grade, to do 1 year study on true black history. True. Not that mamby-pamby American history version of black history in America. Executive order revoking Trump's plan to exclude non-citizens from the census. Got nothing to do with black people in America. Executive order prohibit workplace discrimination in the federal government based on sexual orientation. I was going to say it had nothing to do with black people, but it tell you what this discrimination is about. Sexual orientation and gender identity. Got nothing to do with black people. It's a policy for LGBTQ people. Executive order creating the COVID-19 response coordinator who will report directly to the president. Okay. Executive order revoking 27. Folks, tell me, let me know the specific policy for black people, because I've seen specific LGBT, specific Asians, specific Native American. Where's the specific black? Executive order revoking Trump 2017 Interior Enforcement Executive Order, which broadened the category of undocumented immigrant subject for removal, restart the secure community program, and support the federal 287 deportation program. That's mainly affecting Latinos. Executive order launching a government-wide initiative directing every federal agency to review a state of racial equality and deliver an action plan with 200 days to address the disparities in policies and program. This is a study. A study. That's all this is. I'll get out of here with that mess. Executive orders extending the pause of student loan payments and nationwide restriction on eviction and foreclosures. In other words, it's just a pause on student loans. And you know, nothing, still ain't got nothing to do with black people. It'll help black people, but it's not something that's going to change the financial structure of the black community. Executive orders creating an equity data working group to make sure federal data reflect the country's diverse makeup and direct the Office of Management and Budget, which Bernie Sanders is in charge of, to allocate more federal funding or federal resources to undeserved communities. All right, that ain't got nothing to do with black people. That's all people. You know, undeserved communities can mean anything from poor white communities to Asians to the LGBT community. In other words, anybody. Executive orders canceling the permit for the Keystone XL pipeline to move oil from Canada. I mean, that's great. It keeps them from tearing up the lands of the Native Americans, or, you know, still got nothing to do with black people. Proclamation ending construction of Trump's signature wall. Got nothing to do with black people. Proclamation reversing Trump ban on travel from predominantly Muslim countries. Got nothing to do with black people. Proclamation declaring National Day of Unity. Okay, on January 20th, 2021. All right, so the day that they stormed the Capitol, we're going to make that a day of unity. What the? I'm not even going to mess with that. Memorandum directing the Office of Management and Budget, Bernie Sanders' department, make recommendation on modernized regulatory process. Memorandum, no, son, let me say something about this. You could do all this, but when you got somebody like Neera Tanden that don't want to give money out, she's going to be Bernie Sanders' worst nightmare. She's another Asian woman that don't want to see black people succeed. And let's say Bernie Sanders all of a sudden get the emotional heartstrings pulled to do something for black people. She's going to make sure it don't get done. Memorandum extending deferred deportation of Liberians through the end of June 22. Got nothing to do with black people in America. Deferred action for childhood arrivals, certain undocumented immigrants who were brought to the United States as children. Got nothing to do with black people. Folks, I'm done. All this mess that I talked about just now is basically saying we had all these executive orders, over 20 of them. A lot of them went to Latinos, a lot of them went to Asians, a lot of them went to the LGBT community, a lot of them went to Muslims, a lot of them went to people trying to get into this country. Everybody got something. Everybody got something but the people who put Joe Biden into office. Now, I ride hard on this for a reason. Because we got to learn how to do what Malcolm X talked about. You will never gain any real power unless you take it away from those who have power over you. And right now, we've been so loyal to the Democrat. We always been there. We always get them out there. We're the reason why they win. We're the reason why they lose. We determine. We are the pull string. But right now, they're trying to allow everybody else to come in to take away your power. It's going to be a matter of time when that's going to happen. It's going to be a matter of time when that's going to happen. Now, will it happen soon? No, it's not going to happen soon. No, I mean, the Latino vote is split. A lot of them going to Republicans, a lot of them going to Democrat. If the Democrats don't watch it, more black people are going to split from the Democratic Party. And instead of going independent like Malcolm X talked about, a lot of them going to go to the Republican Party, think they're going to get something from them when they're not. Democratic Party need to start bleeding power. Black power, because they're not giving anything to empower black. None of these executive orders that you looked at give black people power, give black people anything. And see, this is a result of us not even talking about progressives. I'm talking about black people who know that we're the most loyal, the most aggressive. We get grandma out, we get grandma out, we get everybody out there to vote. We get the church, all right, we get the church van. We get people out there in the droves to vote. And we're bought into, this guy's going to kill all y'all. We ain't going to necessarily kill y'all. We going to hurt you. You ain't going to see it coming. But we ain't going to be like this guy. This guy's crazy. Yeah, we look crazy too, but not, you ain't gonna be able to see it. Fell for that. Now we want to ask for something. You cannot get power without a demand concedes nothing. You did not have a demand. You cannot expect to get power from the Democrats, from the Republican, or anybody without making the demand first. What you gonna do first? What you got on my 40, homie, first? What are your policies concerning my people? Okay, I don't like that. Here's the policies I think you need to implement. Don't let them determine what they're going to do. You tell them what they're going to do. This is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to lift up my community. And you need to come down and spend a lot of time with us. You need to listen to us. You need to shut your mouth up and listen. I ain't asked your opinion. See, that's what happened in that closed meeting between Black leaders and Joe Biden. It should have been, John, I'm not asking your opinion. We want this. We want this, or you can forget about 2022. Or you're just going to let the Republicans, it depends. If I can't get these promises from you right now, in 90 days, we're going to detach ourselves from the Democratic Party. What y'all going to do, join the Republican? No, we're not joining no party. We're going to go independent. And if we have to build our own and support our own. Because you ain't doing it. Yeah, we keep giving you vote after vote after vote. Well, we help y'all win Georgia, man. Some of that was impossible. We help y'all win Georgia. You won South Carolina and couldn't even win that in the general. But we help you win Georgia. Stacey Abrams bust her behind. What did you give her as a reward? You should at least give her a DNC chair. You ain't give her nothing. Nothing. Pat on the back. Pat on the head. You John Lewis'd her. All these executive orders, and you wasn't included in one of them. George Bush said this, and it's from fool me once. You fooled me once, but you can't fool me again. In other words, haven't y'all learned y'all lesson that every time you keep putting these people in power, voting for the lesser evil, they will never do nothing to empower you? All you are is a free vote. They'll rather go out there and break their back to go out and court Republicans and promise something in return to Republicans before they do something for you, black. For us, black. All right, before I go, let me know which one better. The Logitech or the A6000. I don't know. But in closing, this year, you can get mad at me. I told you, I only vote for those who will support and push black empowerment because my people need that power. We need that financial power, we need the educational power, and we need more control of what happens in our community. We don't need a party trying to tell us what they're going to do for the community. No, we're going to tell you what you're going to do for the community. You don't tell us what you're going to do. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I don't care if you're independent. And no, you're not going to count on my vote, and you're not going to count on my allegiance. The problem with us is we keep giving these people allegiance, and as long as we keep giving them allegiance, they're not going to do nothing for us. And I think one of the strongest things that can send a signal to both Republicans and Democrats is you officially detaching yourself away from them. Take your name off the voting roll. Go in to that website and take yourself off that. No, I'm unregistering. That would do so many things that will force them to do open primaries. Because in order for them to get your vote, right now, when it comes to people like me, independents like me, who usually vote Democrat, but most of the time, I used to do that. I don't do that. I don't vote party. I vote on what you're going to do. I vote on your record. I don't care what party you are. You can be a Republican. If you're going to do right by my people and you've done it before, I'm going to support you. I don't care if you're the blue party or the checkerboard party. I don't care. I could care less. I vote for you based on what you've done in the past, what you're doing now, and what you plan on doing in the future. That's it. And we need more people like that. Just because the Democrats running for office don't mean they're going to do something for you. And this is proof. Just because the Republican run for office don't mean they're going to do something. They steadily prove that they ain't going to do nothing for you. They just trying to lie to you for a vote. Democrats lie in your face all the time. They want to stab you in the back. They're trying to replace you. And they're letting any and everybody come to this country, which should be a good thing, but the purpose for their doing that is to erase your voice. And Joe Biden said it in that meeting with those black thought leaders. White people are going to be in the minority. So you're going to have to learn how to work with Latinos. What are you going to say when they're in the majority? Well, I say right now, we're the majority, and we ain't going to wait till that time comes. We need to start detaching ourselves from these parties. Number one, if we want to see a real political movement take place, the first step is detachment. Take away from your loyalty and give your loyalty to yourself and your community. Give your loyalty to yourself and people like you. And here, one side of the left talking about we need to work with these white supremacists, and we have some people on the left saying you lost your doggone mind trying to work with these people. I'm saying right now the first step you need to do before we do any of that is detach yourself from political parties. And then you unite and say we're all got some racists over here. They broke too. They need jobs too. Y'all doing them wrong too, and they recognize that, but they know they can't get much done without us. We broke, we ain't got no money. I'm saying, y'all trying to take it. Y'all don't do anything for us, and we keep putting y'all in office. So that's when you do come together to push back on them. Don't mean y'all need to hang out, play basketball, go have dinner, and no. Common ground, common platform. Detach yourself. First step need to be done, to me personally, if you want to have a real workers movement or a real a movement concerning what they say class movement, or I pretty much say, especially black people, if you want to see some real movement black people concerning you, detach yourself from the Democratic Party and make them come to you. I'm not telling you don't vote for a Democrat. I'm not telling you to do none of that. I don't tell people who to vote for. That's up to you. I'm telling you, you would never, ever get what you demand showing blind allegiance to these people. You sat there and told Joe Biden what you want to happen, and he looked at you and said, he signed over 20 executive orders. That's a spit in your face, and you ain't mad? You not upset? This ain't the last straw? Obama get in office, the first thing he do is he passed a law to help out white women mainly. It helped out some black, but the Lilly Ledbetter Act was mainly targeting white women who work. Didn't do anything for the black people who went in their bodyguard hard 95% to put him in office. The first legislation he should have did was to deal with police brutality or reparations or closing the wealth gap, something. All these executive orders, he talking about racial injustice, Joe Biden, all these executive orders, and he did nothing concerning dealing with police officers that abuse their power, put their neck on people. He's going to talk about George Floyd and everybody, and he don't criminalize that. Joe Biden is our president of the United States. We went all out, blindly voting for Joe Biden because he was better than that other racist. When clearly he just showed his racism in his speech, and he just showed his racism in those executive orders. Now, sure, Trump would have went all out for just white. What hurts me more is somebody that go all out for everybody else but black. I get him, because that's that upfront bigotry. The worst bigotry is when you take care of everybody else but ignore the ones who've been loyal to you the most. None of those policies targeted black people. None of those executive orders targeted black people. None of those executive orders uplift the ADOS community. None of them. None of those executive orders, private prison, racial injustice, whatever you want to call it, none of it had anything in there concerning criminalizing police overreach or abuse. None of them. Matter of fact, Joe Biden said he's going to pour more money into the police department. He's not for defunding the police. He want to make them stronger than ever. That's Trump talk. I'm Robert Brown with the Rob Report. Y'all voted this man in. Y'all think he's going to do for you. And you know what he keep telling y'all?
Gotcha, bitch. Gotcha, bitch. Gotcha, bitch. Gotcha, bitch.
I'm Robert Brown with the Rob Report. I'll holler at you later. Peace.